Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 165 of Roundabout Sports, presented by Interstate 70 Sports Media and Harsh Construction LLC. That's right, Harsh Construction LLC, a proud sponsor of Interstate 70 Sports Media with over 50 years combined experience in home renovation and landscaping needs. Be sure to call for a free quote today at 618-363 9818. That is 618-363-9818. Once again, thank you so much. It is a rainy March 4th, 2026. I'm the Maestro, Jeremy Karp, and there is a lot to talk about, and shortly my co-host Adam Frecks will be joining me. And I guess the first thing I do want to talk about is the fact that, well, quite frankly, that we have a lot of blockbuster trade news that is in the works that is going to be talked about on this evening's show. Most notably, the Colton Perriaco rumored, the trade that's working on being finalized. Obviously, it is not official. What we can tell you is that the Blues have agreed to trade defenseman Colton Perriaco to the Buffalo Sabres, but it pends Colton's approval. And it would lead to getting defensive prospect Radim Murtka and a first-round pick, which is a part of the whole big scheme of the thing. I would recommend following our friends at the Blues Fan Forum podcast, the STL Hockey Fan podcast, for all the latest updates and details in regards to this trade. Other than that, yeah, there is, and keep in mind, the Robert Thomas trade rumors are still swirling out there in regards to St. Louis Blues trades out there. Also, as we always do, be sure to understand that Roundabout Sports can be found on Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Pocket Cast, Amazon Music, and any of other streaming platforms that you can stream your shows. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, X, and on the official Interstate 70 Sports Media YouTube channel. Definitely want to thank everybody so much for subscribing, for viewing. Over 500,000 of you have viewed videos on the I-70 Sports Media YouTube channel. So that means the world to me. And of course, Jimmy Harris tuning in as he does every week. Jimmy Harris is the executive director of the Independent St. Louis Wrestling Hall of Fame. Always a pleasure having you aboard. And my dad tuning in. Just had a birthday yesterday, so happy late birthday to him. Of course, we already got to celebrate it. Also, want to do another shameless plug because what the hell, why not? It's one of the many fun things we love doing here. We want to talk about our friend, the good doctor, Dr. Jeremy Housewright. Now, I've promoted his books on the show before. I interviewed him many times. He's done a lot of great collaborations with us. And one of his newest book actually out is and my lovely fiance tuning in as always as well. Such a absolute blessing to have her. We are counting down the days till July 26th, our amazing wedding day. But I want to talk about the good doctor's latest book, Gertrude Goes to the Ballpark. And it is just such a great children's book, a lot of great joy. And I highly recommend getting this book, purchasing it. You can reach out to the good doctor personally about it. Also, if you get it from him directly, which I highly recommend, you get a special Gertrude baseball card. And I'm grateful because he actually signed this book for our daughter, who turns 2 on Sunday. So this book means a lot to me. Now, we are, as I can see, my co-host Adam is getting the final preparations backstage as he's ready to roll. Adam, how we doing this evening, buddy?
What's going on, brother? How are you today?
Man, I'm doing pretty good. It's great having you aboard. And you know what's crazy is this is going to make us both feel old when I say this. Did you know that the last Chiefs defensive back that they've drafted, that they've given a second contract to, was Eric Berry back in 2017?
No, I can believe it. I can believe it.
It's crazy, though.
This is how old I am. The one probably before that was a guy named Eric Warfield. That shows you my age. So, and that's probably 03, 02, something like that.
Jeez. So, for those wondering where I'm going with this, you know, I opened up the show talking about the latest Blues blockbuster trade. Well, and keep in mind, folks, Adam being in the Kansas City area, this is a lot more up his alley. But the Kansas City Chiefs announced this morning that they are sending all-pro corner Trent McDuffie to the Los Angeles Rams. And when I tell you they got a haul, they got a haul for this. They got the 29th overall pick in this year's draft. They got a 5th and a 6th this year and a 2027 third. Okay. Immediate thoughts on this trade, Adam?
I mean, the first thing is so we're up against the salary cap, so we have to bring young people in. So this gives us 9 draft picks for the coming year, 3 in the top 40. So what it does, it gives you the availability to kind of get more darts thrown at the board to hopefully hit some more. And what Kansas City has shown through the years is the availability to have a great secondary year after year, coming off of Snead and then hopping right into McDuffie, trading kind of both of those guys for high picks and getting some good later round picks from the Rams too, which is more surprising. I could have seen this go for like a 1st and a 5th. The fact that they had a couple more picks in it. Hell of a haul for Veach. I mean, and also for the Rams, they still got their 13th pick. So I think it's a great pickup for both teams. I mean, you get a guy like McDuffie, and like that just tells me that's for JSN. Because they need to go. Who they're competing against in the division? They got to get a guy for JSN. You'll see McDuffie following JSN. That's what has me excited for him. Because if people are going to see how top tier, top 5, top 3, I would say McDuffie is in the league.
So here's my immediate thoughts on this trade. You know, and we're going to delve into a lot of the salary cap moves that the Chiefs have done because they entered the offseason in one of the worst cap situations in the league. And it did put a lot of pressure on Brett Veach because they're coming off on top of the cap issues that you mentioned. This was the worst season this past season of the Mahomes, Andy Reid era. So you have to really figure out how you're going to bounce back from that. Yes, they have the number 9 overall pick. There are multiple holes this team has that need to be filled.
Yes.
Wide receiver, offensive line, running back. And now that they have 2 first-rounders to work with, it opens up a lot of opportunities. So my immediate thoughts are, first off, Veach got a big haul for one player. Because also Trent McDuffie statistically has been dipping over the past couple seasons. I think he's a great consistent player to have on the field, but I just think statistically speaking, I don't think he was going to be worth what the Chiefs the Chiefs weren't going to give him what he felt he was worth contractually.
That's it.
Nor
should they.
Right. And because here's the thing, if you can get someone that you feel is either better or still on the same level for cheaper, go for it. At the end of the day, it is a business. I looked at over the first 2 seasons of his career, McDuffie played 1,114 of 2,018 snaps in the box or slot, according to Pro Football Focus. In terms of production, these were his 2 best years of his career so far in the NFL. It's dipped more as they've shifted him around in the secondary. And I think the Chiefs figure, look, now we got a good chance. There are a lot of great defensive backs in the draft. There's a lot that have hit the free agent market that they could really fill some holes in. They're really trying to be careful. They don't want to especially with the cap issue, you don't want to shell out a $132 million contract to Trent McDuffie. And like you said, for the Rams, JSN has been giving everyone in the league hell, let alone just the NFC West. He's 25 years old. So match him up against Seattle's top guy right there, really help out this Rams defense, because the offense isn't the issue. But honestly, the secondary is probably the weakest spot on the Rams.
Yeah, no, that's definitely, I think, the case is as far as how the Rams are going into thinking about this. It kind of shores up their back end on the defensive side. And where you would say McDuffie's production has dropped the past 2 years. I mean, the first 2 years, if you look at it, he's kind of in the box guy. These past 2 years, he's going against number one guys. You're going to get beat by time. You're going to get beat time to time by the elites. But what he has shown is he can be that outside on an island corner, play in and play out. Will he get beat? For sure. So you won't see him having the top tier numbers like he did before those first, because he was mostly slot. We were so loaded at corner. But that's the beauty of his game. You can pull him inside. He's one of the best blitzing cornerbacks I've seen in a while. So it's a hell of for a team that's really all in. I mean, especially if they're rolling back with Stafford, it's an all-in season. It's going to be a fuck it season. They did it. Excuse my language. I think that's kind of what they said. It was whenever they traded all those draft picks a few years ago to acquire all that talent of Aqib Talib and all those guys.
Yeah, so here's my thing. Now we talk about how the Chiefs have 2 first-round picks. Now, first question I have for you. The Rams had 2 first-round picks as well heading into this. Do they make this trade with for McDuffie if they don't have 2 first-round picks heading into all this?
Nah, I don't think if they have that, if they have just the 13th pick, they don't do this. You know what I mean? They still need the numbers. With how the salary cap works, you have to have those darts to fill out your roster. And the fact that they have two picks still in the hell, they got 3 in the first 2 rounds. They have the availability to keep that. I think really right now it's a win-win for everybody. It really depends on how healthy Trent McDuffie stays and kind of what the Chiefs do with it from here. But on service level, day one, it looks like a win-win for both organizations for me.
I was going to say, it does seem like both teams benefited from, at least like in the immediate aftermath, from this trade, because obviously Rams get a great young player to help bolster their secondary, and the Chiefs got a lot of draft capital that they can use to either put into different picks. You can flip those 5th and 6th rounders. Don't underestimate the 3rd rounder for next year. I think that to me is the most. I know a lot of people are looking at the 2nd first rounder they got. I'm really looking at that 2027 3rd rounder.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm looking at that and thinking, man, they might actually. There's a lot of ways you can move that pick. So,
well, what it does, dude, it gives them the availability that if they want to go from 9 to 5, they can figure that out. They now have the draft capital, or if they want to go from 9 to 7, they can figure that out. Or if they want to bounce back, or if they want to go up earlier than the 29th pick. So having that 3rd round pick, I think, is pivotal, because that's something that they can use later on, or some of the 5th, or maybe the 3rd that they have this year, to have be able to hop up and get the guy that they're looking for.
Here's my thing. Do they, and I've said it since the beginning, since it was determined what the Chiefs originally would have. The Chiefs would have the number 9 pick. Since the day it was determined, I said they got to go get Jeremiah Love. Does this Now, I know you have different thoughts on who they would get at number 9 if they stayed there. Do you still go? Let's put it this way. Do you go offensive skill player first, or do you go offensive lineman first? And we'll talk a little bit about the whole Jawan Taylor situation in just a second. But what do you use, whether you move up to 7, whether you stick at 9? What do you do with that first round pick? You muted yourself. Hang on 1 second, folks. Adam accidentally muted himself there, so just bear with us. There we go. Nope, did it again. We're good. Wait. Adam, your mic's not working, buddy. Hang on. I'm going to pull him back while he tries to get his microphone situation figured out. We'll just give it a quick 30 seconds. Yes, we're going to explain a little bit about the whole Jawan Taylor situation. What's going on with the former offensive tackle for the Kansas City Chiefs. Adam, let's see. How's it? Nope, still nothing. It's just one of those, hey, folks, it's just one of those things that happens. It is A-okay. We're working on it. But, yes, the Chiefs, as we talked about, entering this offseason, a big amount of cap hell situation that they were dealing with. Now we're at the point where they're finally starting to get back above the cap situation, get out of the negatives. And like I said, there's a lot of crucial free agents. Now, I look at a lot of the draft picks that they have. Well, I look at a lot of the players. Offensive line was a big issue for them this year. Obviously, goes without saying the issues at wide receiver and running back. You know, I do think if I'm the Chiefs, I'm still saying it. I've stuck by it, and I'm going to stick by it until the day of the draft when they announce the pick. You have to draft Jeremiah Love, the running back from Notre Dame. I think he's the perfect choice to have for their offensive situation right now. But that's just my thing. So we got Adam back in. Let's see how we're rolling.
Oh, we're good, brother. USB microphones, then the software wouldn't read it, so I had to close out on the thing. But what I was saying about the running back situation or the Love situation, I'm way more open to it now because he is a top tier talent, and now that you have these extra shots in the for the ammunition, I'm in with it. If he truly thinks. If Veach truly thinks it's a generational talent, I'm with it. Well, the problem is we have Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Well, at least I do as a Chiefs fan. Clyde Edwards-Helaire PTSD, just because we thought we had that top tier talent to add to it. So it's one of those situations to where really the Chiefs have kind of burned through a couple since Veach has taken over. Veach has kind of burned through a couple first rounders that haven't really amounted to much.
Well, I was going to say, I know a lot of people do have, because you can have all the picks in the world. And look, you know what team I cheer for. So I know all about executing on the picks, not just having the picks.
Right.
Brett Veach has definitely had a mixed because we take a look at
look at his first rounders. He's hit on kind of the lower rounds. He's been pretty well, but the first rounds have been mixed. He's hit some, and the others.
Well, I was going to say, because we take a look the past 10 years. Let's just take a look at the past 10 years for every Chiefs offense or every Chiefs first rounder. So, you got Patrick Mahomes. Then you had Clyde, and I know you were talking about the PTSD surrounding that. You had George Karlaftis. You had Trent McDuffie.
That's a hit.
You had, now, do you consider FAU a hit?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. No, he pretty much got redshirted last year. He was on injury reserve all year last year, so it's kind of he's questionable to make the team if he'll make the team just because with his rookie contract, but yeah, he's not guaranteed really any
half a career sack, 8 total tackles. Yeah. Then you got, to me, the interesting one being Xavier Worthy. I like Xavier. I'm big fan of Xavier Worthy, but here's my thing. Xavier Worthy, this comes down to the protection that Mahomes is given, and B, the receivers that are around him. Like he's got, and he also himself has to
stay healthy.
Well, yeah, besides staying healthy, he has to adapt. He has to be more than just a deep threat.
Well, they use him as a deep threat or like a gadget player side to side. What you want to see him is more of a polished route runner, a guy that gets the ball. That's where like a guy like Tyreek, I'm just bringing him up, not to bring him back to Kansas City because I don't think he's at the same skill set. But a guy like Tyreek and Worthy, that's kind of who Worthy should mold his game after. He's a guy who would, even though he can blaze by everybody, he'd go get the ball. He'd still high point it. Worthy has shown parts of that, but can he do it? So is he just going to be a gadget player? That's still, I think this will be the year to figure it out.
You know, we talk about offensive linemen. Well, what about Josh Simmons? Obviously it's just coming off his rookie year, so you have a lot of
year one. I would say it's a hit so far. So he missed
so too. I'd give it a B. I'd give it a solid B.
Yeah.
He wasn't spectacular, but honestly, I like his discipline. I think he's very disciplined on the line, which is a huge thing. Not really one prone to penalties. I think it's just the health. He stays healthy.
Yep.
Just stud.
Still.
So, yeah,
that's a steal. I give that one a hit. So, but yeah, kind of hit and miss. You can probably do that with every team across the board. That if they hit half of their first round picks, they're doing okay.
But I think it's a lot of the moves that Veach has made that has also proven this offseason so far that has proven his, good reputation as a GM. Because here's my thing. I think now's the time we let the cat out of the bag, address the elephant in the room, that being the whole thing about Juwan Taylor. Now, talk about the hits and misses. This is a big miss. This is a swing and a miss if there was ever one.
Yeah. You're going to have me defend Juwan Taylor. Yes, I would say it's definitely a miss, dude. He wasn't as bad as people said he was. If you get into the nerdy numbers, you take away, which you can't take away the penalties, but he was okay. He was okay. He wasn't worth the money that they purchased. That's why it's a big and swing and miss, but he was okay.
As the blocker, as far as the blocker goes, he wasn't bad. As far as he was arguably the least disciplined offensive lineman in the NFL.
Yeah.
Extremely penalized. And like you said, and in a league where money talks, he was not worth the contract that he was given.
Yeah.
Because guess what? It's not like this was the last year of his contract. He's still got 2 years left on the contract. And they said, nope, we're cutting the losses. We're releasing him.
Yeah, well, you have to, because at that point, they've done re-signed their center and their right guard. And you're paying a left tackle first rounder money. So it's not something that it wasn't going to be sustainable. Like, you can't pay all of the linemen. You can only have about 2 of them that you can have at a higher priced tag on them. And Jawan Taylor just wasn't delivering the goods. Even if he was, he would have had to restructure. So,
well, yeah, because look at Chris Jones. Chris Jones, they just restructured, and I know I kind of spoiled that too, but yeah, I mean, they just restructured, or they're in the process of restructuring Chris Jones's contract. And you know, it's so the Chiefs, Veach is making moves to clear up cap room. The salary cap has gone up to, I believe, $309 million for every team, which is a crazy, insane number.
Crazy to think about, ain't it?
Like, I'm thinking to myself, damn, $309 million cap space. And I look at the Chiefs' most expensive players right now. I mean, right now you got Jawan Taylor is no longer on that, but you got Mahomes. Of course, there's restructures involved. There's Chris Jones with his restructuring, Trey Smith with $23.5 million. And these are among the highest paid players at their positions in the NFL. And not saying they're not worthy of it. I mean, you know my feelings on Jawan Taylor, but Trey Smith is a great guard. Mahomes is freaking Mahomes. Right. And Chris Jones is Chris Jones, like still elite at his position. So it is such a mixed bag on how the money is being thrown out there. But I think in the case of like the McDuffie trade, it's their way of saying, look, we're going to get some great capital back because we'd rather do that than whiff again on an overpaid contract. Well,
what's the alternative? You let it play out, franchise tag them, and then trade them because you're not going to be able to afford to resign them. You're not for that kind of money.
If you tag them, you definitely won't be able to re-sign them.
Right.
Because the tag right there is just buying you time. The tag is going to put you probably at least 18 to 20 million for 1 year.
Yeah, and by the time he'd be up for franchise, it might be even more because corners and wide receivers have absolutely got paid.
Because here's my thing: I'm going to look at the highest paid. Right now, Sauce Gardner is the highest paid corner in NFL history because July of last year he signed a 4-year, $120.4 million extension, $30 million annually. And so just over the $30 million average that Derek Stingley Jr. had signed with the Texans. But I'm looking at some of these right now. Bear with me a sec. And these are yearly averages ranking. So Sauce Gardner and Derek Stingley Jr. both make 30 or more million a year. J.C. Horn on the Panthers, $25 million a year. Jalen Ramsey, $24 million a year. Patrick Surtain II, $24 million a year. I mean, these guys right there, and they're way, way better, in my opinion, than Trent McDuffie. And that's not saying McDuffie's bad, but I'm sorry. These guys are the elites of the elites.
I don't know, dude. McDuffie's up there. If you watch, I've watched game in and game out. I would take McDuffie over Gardner any day. Any day, brother. I think it's good, but I don't think he's top 5 corner. The fact that he's the highest paid is crazy to me.
I do think it's crazy he's top. To me, Surtain should be the highest paid. That's just my opinion.
I agree. I don't know if he's up for. I mean, I imagine he's close. He hasn't re-signed the deal. I don't think.
No, his is a 2030 void. Stingley and Horn are unrestricted free agents in 2030, and then Gardner's is a 2031 void. Ramsey's a 2029 void. But I scroll.
Damn, he's still getting paid all the way out. Damn.
I look all the way down. I'm like looking down at the list here, and it's like trying to find where Trent McDuffie even, is. He's so far. It's crazy.
He's still on his first rookie contract. So,
Okay,
well,
yeah, here
he's
he is.
going
They have him on the Rams now, but yeah, because he's at 3.5 mil essentially annually.
right.
13.
Then that'll bump up because he's on his 5th-year option.
So here's the thing. I'm looking at. Do you think, okay, in the NFL right now, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are currently 8 corners in the NFL that make 20 or more million.
Right.
Does McDuffie, okay, first question, does McDuffie get that on his
Yeah,
extension?
he gets. I think he gets closer to 30. I don't know if he gets maybe that. He might. I don't know if he gets that top tier corner, but he gets top 5 for sure. He gets paid like a top 5.
I think I'm looking at it. I'm looking at the contracts on average. Like I said, 2 corners make 30 or more million a year. The next closest is J.C. Horn, who I do think McDuffie is better than. And I put him at, and Horn is getting 25 million. I'm putting McDuffie probably at the 27, 28 million. That's what I think they're going to give him. I think they're going to give him that over 4 years. Which I think it's
you'll see a 6-year deal though. It'll come out as a 6-year deal, and the last 2 years would be voidable. I think you'll have about 4 years of McDuffie for sure.
Well, I was going to say, if you get a 6-year deal out of it, I mean, that is insane to think about because, I mean, that'll take him. That essentially means as long as he still has the great production, even if the numbers don't show it, just by the consistency, he's going to be a Ram for career because that will take him to 31.
Yeah, dude, but contracts are real, but contracts ain't real. Like those last 2 years, they just void them because, like, really, teams, you look at the guaranteed money.
You mean like the options and everything that they're gonna?
Yeah, no, they're just 100% avoidable. So they have they're almost like because what it is really, it's fucking. This is how the Chiefs are well with the cap because they do it with Mahomes. They keep just stretching it back. So what they'll do is they'll have those last 2 years voidable. That way they can stretch out the signing bonus over instead of 4 years, it can be 6 years now. So that's if you read the contracts, that's essentially what it is. Anytime you see a 4-year deal, it's probably really a 3-year deal or so on. Just kind of that's the interpretation. Every time I've read contracts, that's what I've gotten out of it.
Okay. Well, that's interesting to think about. I know a lot of teams do a lot of the restructuring or they'll convert different things into signing bonus. I'll be honest, that's how Cleveland has actually saved a lot of money from this Deshaun Watson debacle is they've been actually able to recoup a lot of the money for injury settlements, and they've been able to get money back from just either restructures or voided things. So, and looking at where we're at right now, it seems as if the Chiefs currently, and I don't know if this is retroactive to the Jawan Taylor release, but they have 5,773,000 and some change in total team cap space. And what's funny is 160 million of that. They look at the cap liabilities. So how much is owed to both sides? 160 million of the 296 million owed goes to the offense on the average annual. The 126 million goes to the defense. Now, Eddie, who always is tuning in every week, Eddie Jameson says, KC needs to get somebody on the line to help Chris Jones.
You're absolutely right, Eddie. You're absolutely right.
So I'm assuming we're talking interior line help because
no.
Really? Because I think Karlaftis would be great. You're telling me they need somebody on top of Karlaftis and Chris Jones?
Karlaftis is a good player. He's a high motor player with not a lot of, I don't want to say not a lot of skill, but he has to play with the high motor. That's one guy I wish they would have traded instead of re-signed.
Really?
He's a good, solid player, but he's not worth the contract because it goes back to a lot of times it goes to the value towards the contract that you have the availability to spend on other players. Karlaftis eats up too much space, in my opinion. He's
Okay.
not, he's an 8 to at best 8 to 10 guy sack. He might have a 13 sack in there somewhere, but I look at a lot of his production. He got Chris Jones and Chris Jones' absolute prime years, and he was able to benefit off of it. Not saying he's not good. He is
I
good.
get it.
But he's just not a pass rusher.
Okay, but here's my thing. I look at if we were going off D tackles, there were two very notable ones, and I'm keep in mind I am taking this based on where the Chiefs are picking and assuming if they even trade up, it would only be 2 spots. I don't see them trading into the top 5. I see them at best probably going 7 like you predicted. So I look at the teams that are ahead of them in the draft order, and I'm taking a guess like, okay, you look at the skills. You have the Raiders, the Jets, the Cardinals, the Titans, the Giants, Browns, Commanders, and Saints. Now, you think about which teams there need D-line help before anything else. Not a whole lot. So my best 2 picks for the but let's just say 1 or 2 go off the board. Peter Woods to me is the best D tackle coming into this draft. D tackle from Clemson. I'm thinking they would go with either Lee Hunter from Texas Tech, or if you want another good one, in my opinion, I'm going Darrell Jackson Jr. from Florida State. 6'5", 337. Great run disruptor and a lot of power off the line. Because one thing the Chiefs, I feel like, lack is a lot of pressure up front. Especially on the interior. So I'm thinking you get a good D tackle, and then if you go defensive first, that's where this whole thing comes in. That's why I like the McDuffie trade. Because right now, Adam, you have to ask yourself, are they going offense first or are they going defense first? Because I'm telling you right now, Love will not be there at 29.
No, not at all.
If you're going that route, he's not there at 29.
He might not be there at 9. It's definitely one of I think they go, one of those picks in the first round are D-line, I believe. And I could see them going higher. I see them still getting that higher pick and then I don't see it being D tackle. We need a rush, and kind of how Spags runs his defense first and second down. He got the big boys, a big D tackle beside Chris Jones, and then he didn't do it as much last year, but he did the year before and had a lot of success. He would bring Mike Dana on the inside. We'd have kind of a hybrid guy on the inside. So it's just how Spagnuolo plays. I don't see us taking a D tackle.
So then I feel like if I'm judging based off what you're saying, what you're predicting, you're thinking more of a Keldrick Falk type of guy.
Yeah.
And more he can be rotated if you wanted to put him on the interior for like special plays, but he's a main edge rusher guy.
Dude, that's Andy loves those kind of guys. Karlaftis had the same thing coming out of Purdue. So, and then Karlaftis was a good pick, but that's the type of guys that you'll see the Chiefs pick up. Somebody who's flexible, can play inside, outside. Not a whole lot do you have just pure specialists.
Well, because here's the thing, the top D tackles outrank the top D linemen / edge guys. That is something I've learned from the combine. There are a lot more top D lineman prospects or D tackle prospects than there are edge prospects. Now, I will say, Another guy that really impresses me is Reuben Bain Jr., who had a great combine as well. So there's another guy you can look at if, once again, you go the edge route. But I also will say, if you're taking away a piece of your secondary, then you do have two options for defense. You either go look at your secondary, try to bolster it in free agency, pick somebody in the draft, or make up for the lack of a secondary and bolster that D line and don't give them a chance to throw.
Yeah, it's usually one of the two. Either the back end's helping the front end get sacks, or the front end's helping the back end get interceptions. You got to pick one of the two. Salary cap doesn't allow you to be both, and if you do, you end up being the Baltimore Ravens of 2000.
Yeah, that's the thing. There are some teams that can do that. No, you want to know a team that I think is the prime example of that? The Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions were built to win the Super Bowl, except the year they were built to win it, they didn't win it.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I can agree with that.
And they are paying for it because they can't afford everybody that kept them in the playoffs all those years. Like, now you're 9-8. You have all of a sudden you're in this cap hell situation where all these defensive players that have been so good for your team want to get paid, and you can't pay them all. You already had to trade away David Montgomery for the sake of cap. Like, the team's going to start falling apart, and Brett Veach doesn't want that to happen with Kansas City.
No. Dude, the best I've ever seen do it was Belichick. Like, you're pretty much running these teams in 4-year cycles. And then you're keeping the top tier ones. And even then, if they're too expensive, you got to go. We got the quarterback. We know that. And that's the most important thing. And you want to kind of build everything around that. So, obviously, you still need to have a defense. But, everybody else can go. Unfortunately,
Tom Brady was literally obviously that whole dynasty. He was the only consistent piece, but they did have so many consistent pieces
for sure.
In increments. Your Troy Browns, your Deion Branches, because you had Deion Branch, then you had Wes Welker, then you had Julian Edelman. You also had that guy, Randy Moss.
If you think about it, dude, it's not that it's similar to college because you'll have your Teddy Bruschi's and those guys that stay there for you'll have your pillars that 5, 6, 7 guys that spend 7, 8, 10 years at a organization. Other than that, you're pretty much running 4 years just like college. It's just a constant flip of players. So
and look how it worked.
Yeah, you have to be in front of it. Like I remember when Belichick traded Lawyer Malloy, or not traded, but released him before the first week. So, which was a super surprise. He was I wouldn't say he was a superstar, but he was a Pro Bowl caliber safety that was a pillar for the Patriots.
Well, another one, I remember when Willie McGinnis, when he left New England, he went to Cleveland, and I'm thinking, growing up, I'm like, damn, Willie McGinnis, one of the top pieces of that defense. Along with Richard Seymour, and Mike Vrabel, because I remember that whole core of linebackers: Willie McGinnis, Mike Vrabel, Teddy Bruschi, and then there was that period of time Junior Seau was on there.
Yep.
Like, that whole core of linebackers was absolute killer for opposing offenses. So, and there's a lot of consistent pieces on this Chiefs team, especially defensively. You're going to have your Chris Joneses that are going to stick around. You got your Nick Boltons that are sticking around. I think Karlaftis will get a second contract.
He did already.
Well, I mean,
I hope he don't get a third contract with the Chiefs. He's a good player. I don't want to feel like not worth that contract.
I mean, it depends. It would be a short-term deal based off the contract he already got.
Yeah.
You know who else I would like to see get another contract? And this is going to be kind of crazy to think about for the defense. Drew Tranquill.
Yes.
I would like to see it. He's a veteran. He's 30 years old though. He's stuck around since 2023. I say keep him, sign him to maybe a 2-3 year deal. When his next contract's up, and just keep the ball rolling with him. He's a good leader for this team, especially if you're going to be drafting more defensive guys.
No, I definitely agree. He's such a smart player. Not only that, he can also play middle linebacker. And a lot of times these teams are in dime, so it gives him the availability. He can be a pass cover. No, absolutely agree. I hope the Chiefs re-sign him.
So I guess that brings up here's my thing. Say the Chiefs draft okay. Do you see any scenario where the Chiefs go O-line at number 9?
No, because they got Jalen Moore that they signed to a free agent contract when they didn't expect Josh Simmons to fall down to him, in which Jalen Moore is really good. I think he'll be the starting right tackle going into next year at a reasonable price. So no, I don't see them going O-line at all.
So does that give them that shot at 29? Or do you think they'll just take some mid-round picks online?
Yeah, they'll take some darts, but the first round won't be O-line, no, because we have our starting O-line already. Jalen Moore he'll hop into right tackle. Chiefs fans were clamoring for it anyways, just because they got so tired of the illegal position by Jawan Taylor. So it's one of those things. They were asking for Jalen Moore to be the right tackle anyway, so that works out. He's already on the roster.
I was going to say, you got Creed Humphrey, obviously the anchor of everything. You got Trey Smith, Jalen Moore, a healthy Josh Simmons that's going to, when he comes back. I'm sure Kingsley's going to be
he'll be at left guard.
At left guard, fill in the role nicely. So, and that's fine. Just draft some depth later on. But I think if you here's my thing. Get yourself at number 9, if he falls, get Jeremiah Love. 29, if you stay at these 2 draft spots, get the best edge off the board. Get the best edge off the board. And right there, I would already give the draft, even if they whiff on half of their 9 picks the rest of the way, I would still give the draft a B, maybe B plus.
If you can retrospectively look at a lot of drafts, if you hit on 50%, that is not an F. That is not an F at all. So,
and the biggest thing is you are looking at guys that can start come week 1 for this team. Yeah. The Chiefs' biggest issue this year was they couldn't have anybody that could start because of all the injuries and the decline in production. So get these guys out here. Now, my next question, what the hell are they going to do at wide receiver?
Man, that's a great question. They really need a veteran presence that's better than Juju Smith-Schuster. I think Rashee Rice still be on the team. I think that the Chiefs are hoping he has a productive year and they can offload him next year as well. But I don't know. It's kind of a tough thing too. It probably depends on what Pat's going to be. If Pat's going to be back week 1, I think they'll find somebody that's productive wise, because I don't see Hollywood Brown coming back. I don't see Juju coming back. There's some spots open. Thornton's probably going to be gone. So it's
I would like Thornton to come back though. I do like.
No, I agree. But if you was Thornton, would you go back? I wouldn't. We had proof in the pudding that he deserved to be out there on the field. And as soon as Hollywood and not Hollywood, but as soon as Xavier Worthy and Rice came back, he just kind of hit the bench. Like he should have. I don't know. In my opinion, they should have earned his spot away from him. Yeah, so if I was Thornton, I wouldn't come back to Kansas City. So I'd love to have him back, but if I was him, I'd go where there's not great wide receiver depth, and maybe you can run some routes. So he deserves a shot somewhere.
In the thing of it now, here's another thing. You got 9 draft picks. Alec Pierce, wide receiver of the Colts, announced that the Colts announced because they placed the franchise tag on quarterback Daniel Jones, or the transition tag, Pierce is not going to get a long-term extension. And his whole thing of sticking with the Colts was going to be based on who was going to be quarterback. So Here's the thing. He becomes a free agent. Do the Chiefs try to make a splash for him?
No, I hope not. I don't think he's worth a splash. He's not a top tier player. If you can get him in that 10 million range 1 year, 2 years, maybe you can talk me into it. But other than that, no. He doesn't move the needle enough to make what be considered a big splash. I really would have to look at the rest of the wide receiver market to see how he compares. But
it's a good thing you said that, because I have the majority of the wide receiver market left here for you. So, judging by who is, upcoming free agents, we got Mike Evans, Deebo Samuel, Rashid Shaheed, Tyreek Hill. I know he's a tight end, but the Steelers are getting rid of Jonnu Smith.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Romeo Doubs is a big free agent name. Juwan Jennings. So there are,
I don't think there's one big name out there besides Mike Evans, and he's old. And he's probably still the best player out of all those. I would say
in that market, I will say, okay, I think the receiver I would take the biggest chance on would be Juwan Jennings.
Really?
I would take the biggest chance on Jennings. Jennings is a red zone target and a touchdown machine. And if you're the Chiefs, here's the thing. You got a lot of great weapons. He'd be the type of guy to where you use the other guys to draw them away. He comes in, gets a good touchdown out of it. And he's good in package plays and specialty plays. That said, arguably, obviously, top receiver in that whole market, like you said, Mike Evans. But Mike Evans is a future Hall of Famer. Mike Evans, is one of the best wide receivers in the league, but he is 33 years old. And he is coming off.
It's coming off a 1,000-yard season. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it is a very weak wide receiver market, but the thing of it is, what balances it out is some of the rumored names on the market to be traded.
Right.
And also some of the receivers that are available to be drafted this year. I'm telling you right now, I don't care what anybody says. I am all on the Carnell Tate hype train. I'm on the KC Concepcion hype train. If he was in the draft this year, I'd be on the Jeremiah Smith hype train. There is a lot of great receivers coming into the draft this year that I think a lot of people are going to really be amazed at this season that didn't get a chance to watch them in college.
Yeah, no, I definitely it's going to be interesting. If somebody's going to make a big splash, it's not going to be or free agency. It's going to be through trade. A wide receiver comes through the draft, blows up. But the free agency guys, somebody's going to get paid from that, just because there's a lack of, I wouldn't say lack of talent, but a lack of superstardom.
Now, before we wrap it up this evening here on Roundabout Sports, episode 165, folks, I'm the Maestro Jeremy Carp, alongside my dear friend and co-host Adam Frecks. There is another piece of interesting football news that I wanted to talk about. So, the Arizona Cardinals announced yesterday, and it's amazing to me. They announced that they are releasing quarterback Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray, the former number 1 overall pick back in 2019. And what's funny is the running memes about him in Call of Duty and his short stature for a quarterback. He's 5'10". But look, the man's got a 67% completion percentage, 121 touchdowns, just 60 interceptions. He is only 28 years old. Here's my question. First off, your thoughts on the Cardinals releasing him, knowing they don't necessarily have a big backup plan in place. And next, what's next for Kyler Murray?
I think that's the more interesting question. What's next for Kyler Murray than it is for what's next for Arizona. Arizona's been losing. They're comfortable with that. So they'll just have to rebuild around everything. The thing is Kyler Murray hasn't been known to be a winner in the NFL. Who's willing to give him a shot? This feels very Jets to me.
Very Jets. Well, it's interesting because who I think might take a chance on him, and people might think it's a little crazy, but that's okay. Because that's what, we're here for, is the abnormal and crazy. I think the Vikings might take a chance. It's
not a bad move.
Here's the thing. The Vikings have a great offensive system. They have great wide receivers. A very good running game. Only problem is quarterback.
You don't know how good their quarterback actually is. And most of us don't think he's going to be even Sam Darnold. I mean, Sam Darnold just won Super Bowl, obviously.
I don't trust JJ McCarthy. I know his rookie season, he missed the whole year. So obviously I wasn't judging off that. That when he entered this past season, I'm like, okay, well, we had no sample size. He got hurt before the season even started. Right now, DraftKings has the Vikings as the favorites to sign him. Then the Jets, then the Dolphins, and then the Browns. Browns aren't going to get him. I can tell you that.
No, Browns. If they do, you guys,
Dolphins won't
set that building on fire.
Dolphins won't.
No.
Falcons are on there. As far as is an interesting option to me, because Penix and Kyler on the same team, because Kirk Cousins is getting released,
right?
So there is that backup. I mean, Murray's in the position now where he can be a veteran mentor. So,
I don't think he's going to go. He may end up in that situation.
He's going to want to start and he's going to want to get that, But I do think that, and that's another reason I think it's perfect for the Vikings. There's a lot of uncertainty with JJ McCarthy in his position with the Vikings. So what better way than to say, look, we got a former number 1 overall pick here that I'm going to be honest with you. Yes, the quarterback will get the most of the blame when it comes to wins and losses, but the wins and losses aren't exactly all Kyler Murray's fault. Arizona has not put a good team around him.
I agree. I think the whole organization has just not been good for him, and he hasn't been the best either. So it's just really been
I think I will say the stats can always be inflated. You can always look deeper into the 67% completion percentage, see how many are over X amount of yards, how many attempts,
how much
garbage time, because that's true as well. There is a lot that goes into it, that you have to ask yourself as far as why his stats are what they are. But I still think Kyler Murray, I'll tell you this. I was frustrated that he kind of did the dick move on the Athletics and let them draft him only to say I'll play football instead.
Yeah.
Because they drafted I especially considering they drafted him a year before he went to the NFL.
Right.
I don't think
so high. And high. He was a high draft pick.
Overall.
So yeah. So
like that I think was low. That's just my opinion. Everybody has their own opinions on that. But Arizona did not set him up for success. He did not do himself favors for that matter. And coaching has always been an issue in that organization since Kyler got there. So there's just a million reasons it didn't work out in Arizona. With Minnesota, it could be a new fresh start. I think the Jets are a complete and utter dumpster fire.
Yes.
I literally did a segment every week on just how bad they are. The Dolphins have a lot of questions they have to ask themselves about Tua before they decide about Kyler. And Cleveland's problem isn't that they don't have a quarterback. The problem is they have a quarterback. They just don't know what they're going to do because the quarterback they want to start, they still need help around him. They need a line. They need receivers, So, yeah, I think it's going to be either Minnesota or he might spend the year on free agency because I don't think he'll take a backup role.
No, I think he chases the bag. That's why I say the Jets, just because the Jets are going to be desperate for somebody. Unless they get somebody, a Kirk Cousins when he gets released or somebody of that nature. Somebody's spending a bag on either Kirk Cousins. I want to say Tua, but I see Kyler probably being the highest paid.
I would go Kyler over Kirk Cousins if I had to pick.
Me too.
Just because of the fact, youth. We're talking 28 versus 37 here. So
no, I agree. But if you want a guy to develop behind somebody, I think Cousins would be a good fit. I can see Cousins actually going back to Minnesota too. Them feeling like their window may be closing.
Yeah, God knows they couldn't keep Sam Darnold, and look what the hell happened.
Yeah, dude.
But folks, we're going to wrap it up here this week on Roundabout Sports. As always, we want to thank our proud sponsor of Interstate 70 Sports Media. That is Harsh Construction, LLC. With over 50 years combined experience in home renovation and construction and landscaping, be sure to call at 618-363-9818. That is 618-363-9818. Harsh Construction, LLC, proud sponsor of Interstate 70 Sports Media. Also, Roundabout Sports can be found on Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Pocket Cast, Amazon Music, and any and all other streaming platforms out there. You can find us on Facebook, X, and on the official Interstate 70 Sports Media YouTube channel. Also, we end the show by putting up the NAMI helpline, and for that, you dial 1-800-950-NAMI, 1-800-950-NAMI. The National Alliance on Mental Illness is the nation's largest grassroots mental health organization dedicated to building better lives for those who struggle with mental health issues. And, of course, we put up the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, and for that, you dial 988. The line is open 24/7, 365, 366 on leap years. Understand you are never alone in this world. There is always somebody out there who loves you, who cares about you, who wants nothing but the best for you. We all go through struggles and trials and tribulations every day. And that doesn't mean that they have to be faced alone. Your feelings matter. You matter, and you're just a phone call or a text message away from what could be that life-saving moment for you. And you could be the listening ears and watchful eyes for somebody else in need as well. I want to thank my dear friend Adam Frecks once again. I look forward to doing this again next week for where it'll be episode 166. And until then, I'm the Maestro Jeremy Karp, and he's Adam Frecks. And always remember, folks, life is a book full of empty pages just waiting to be written in. Make your lives worth reading. Good night, everybody.